Before starting vocal coaching, I have always imitated my favorite singers and musicians, just thinking that it was the right way to go. It's not inherently bad, it's just like how babies imitate their parents and people around them, their behavior, to understand about their surroundings and their environment. But when it comes to singing, and when you actually use voice techniques and vocal coaching, you actually understand how to sing without imitating your favorite singer and having your own original voice and original piece.
Have your voice box. Okay, this is where it's located in your throat space, and many of you have this very horrible habit, which is also due to a very good reason, which we might cover in some other video. But you have this very bad habit of constricting your throat muscles in order to push your voice out, thinking that it will magically just flow, but that is exactly the opposite state that you need to be in for effective vocalization. So that is one point to remember, that you have to relax your neck muscles in order to be able to allow your voice to flow, because this is where your voice box is located. Now, if this is where your voice box is located, your voice is going to flow through the space that is following it before it leaves your system as words and is perceived by the ears of the listeners. So now you need to understand that there's something called the vocal tract, and the shapes that you are able to create in order to bring out the best sound and texture and tone possible really determines how professional you sound. So that's called the vocal tract, which comprises both your nasal cavity or nasal passageway as well as your oral cavity. Then you have something called the articulator, which means these portions of your mouth, such as the lips, the tongue, the jaws, which move and help you create different shapes in order to get different kinds of pronunciations and enunciations out. You see what I'm doing here? So that is your articulator set. Then you have something called technique, which is very important. It helps you realize exactly where you're going wrong. It's your indicator for the route that you're supposed to be taking versus the route that you should not be taking that seems tempting. When you use a pen, if you're handed a pen and you've never seen it before, if you turn it upside down with the cap side down to the paper and try to write, it's not going to work for you. So you need to realize that there's something called a refill, which contains the ink, which needs to be placed against the paper, because the paper can hold this ink and the ink will dry and the words will remain and people can read what you've written. Then you have really realized the utility of this particular tool, and you have realized the technique to use it in the best manner possible. So similarly, you need to understand what techniques need to be kept in mind while you're executing vocal exercises, because the way you do them is very important for the kind of result that you produce, the kind of effect that you give out with your vocal output. Now, if you were to just lightly disconnect from the science for just a bit, then comes the aspect of lyrics. Are you aware of the language of the song? If you are, then you're in a better place than your neighbor, but you still have some work to do. And what is that work that you need to do? You need to be able to understand the meanings of the words that are there as part of your lyrics. Because if you understand them, you can actually emote. That has a lot to do with how you feel, right? And you can connect with the feel of that particular song only if you understand the meaning. So you need to really put in that little bit of effort in case you don't understand the language completely and it just sounds cool and therefore you like it. It cannot just be cool and you think that you will do a great job with it. It's not going to happen. So you need to understand the language, you need to know the lyrics, the meanings of the words, and also complement them beautifully with the knowledge of the body parts that are being used, voice anatomy, and also the technique of vocalization that will best be suitable for that song, for your voice, and not for that song where you're trying to sound like that voice, and that is what you want to achieve, because you're unique, your voice is beautiful. It's just that you're lacking in these few departments. So equip yourselves and you will be able to do a beautiful job with your voices in your own style.